I want to thank you all for tuning in to this celebrity edition of Black Friday Live on Black Video News. I'm your host, Keith Scott. Joining me today on this celebrity edition of Black Friday, you've seen this brother on Soul Food. You've seen him on The Express. You've seen him in so many different movies. He's also an author, a choreographer. Yeah, he can dance. And it was real in Stomp the Yard. Yes, you've seen him. Joining me live in the studio, Mr. Darrin Henson. How we doing, bro?
It's good to be here with you.
Man, it's a blessing.
Great to see you, Keith.
Great to see you as well,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
And welcome to San Antonio, man. I know you got a lot going on. How we treating you in the
Oh,
Alamo today?
it's great here. The people are wonderful and warm, so it's nice to be here, surrounded by so much love.
Yeah, getting a little Texas feel.
Yes, sir.
New York City in the
Yes, sir.
house. For those that don't know, he is from the Boogie Down Bronx.
Yes, sir.
Born and raised.
Yes, sir. Born and raised.
Born and raised in the Boogie Down. Man, let's just go right into it, bro. I've been a big fan. Stump the Yard, of course.
Thank you.
The Express, one of my favorite movies. When you played Jim Brown.
Yes, sir.
And Soul Food. Now the Family Business,
Family
Orlando.
business. Yeah, Orlando Duncan. Yes, sir.
I want to talk about it because it seems like when you get these roles, you dive deep into them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's they say how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Right.
And I didn't know, in terms of acting, it wasn't something that I always thought I would do. It's something that came about during my process in entertainment. And as I was taking off my choreography shoes,
Right.
I stepped into the acting shoes. And so what I decided to do was transfer the energy that I used in dancing and choreography and place it in acting. So it was really a directive that already had momentum.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that because a lot of people may not even know that part of you dancing,
Mhm.
being a choreographer.
Hmm.
And, let's touch on some of the people because I know Michael Jackson, Prince. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that. Let
Yeah.
let our viewers know a little bit more in depth with you choreography
Yeah.
that you've done some icons.
Yeah, it's really amazing because, I do meet people, as you say, present day, who didn't know that I was a choreographer. They know the work.
Right.
They just didn't, they weren't tuned in, tapped in, and turned on to the fact that it was me actually doing it.
Right.
But some really historical, music videos like Color Me Bad, Sex You Up, High Five, She's Playing Hard to Get, CNC Music Factories, Things That Make You Go Home, Prince, Face Down, SWV, So Into You, and Right Here videos. I mean, just so many.
Correct.
Working with the New Kids on the Block. Now I'm going back, right?
Yeah, let's start.
You know,
'Cause how
bringing
old were
yeah,
you when
bring, I can't tell
You
you
can't even
my
tell.
my actual no no I don't
Right.
remember my actual age, but I was in my 20s.
Okay, yeah.
So Darrin's Dance Grooves was born in 1997, became very very popular in 2001. We're going back.
Yeah, even with Triology,
Yeah,
right?
trilogy. Yeah, trilogy.
Yeah, I know about
Yeah,
Trilogy
the
as
Good
well.
Times, the Good Times, which was a part of CNC Music Factory.
Right.
So those are my very early beginnings, in the entertainment aspect, outside of dance. So I've literally done just about every aspect of entertainment, whether it was music, whether it was dance, whether it was acting now, moving into producing and directing. I've literally worn a lot of those hats.
Yeah. Do you think the dancing aspect and being in the entertainment on that side has helped you with, being an actor?
Oh, absolutely. So moving into the trajectory of moving into acting in that world, being in the dance and choreography world, the music world, working with the greats. I mean, you're talking about Prince and Michael Jackson and Prince. I mean, being privy to that level
Yeah.
of success, that level of mastery early on afforded me the opportunity to understand what it took to get there. And it was just focus and creativity and constant work. So today, where we're in the days of reality television,
Yeah.
or we're in the days of so-called hip hop, or so-called reality, right? You know the difference between people who put the work and the effort in, the time in. I had an amazing time with Armand Asante,
Okay.
amazing time with Ernie Hudson, having conversations on the set of Carl Weber's The Family Business,
Right.
about what true actors do, who true actors really are, the work that they put in, dropping into characters. So there's a major difference between what we see on television today and
It is.
yeah,
It is. And we talked about that. No one even knew that reality TV would, be around almost 20 years.
yeah,
It's
or
been around.
so-called reality.
Yeah, so-called reality.
Yeah,
I'm not really into the reality
yeah,
thing of it. It's not something
yeah,
that I sit down and watch or see a lot of it. I'm not interested in
yeah,
it.
yeah,
It doesn't fascinate me at all. What does fascinate me is when I see actors like yourself, Denzel Washington, the guys when they get into these roles,
yeah,
training day with
yeah,
Denzel, and some of the greats that are like Ernie, like you said,
yeah. Ernie Hudson
yeah,
is
Ghostbusters,
an amazing actor, and so many more.
yeah,
He was in a film years ago that I love with Wesley Snipes called Sugar Hill. um
great movie,
Amazing
great
film,
movie,
and just, I mean, so
great
many
movie,
films and television shows that he's done. I get the opportunity to sit at his feet and talk with him about what to do, what not to do, who not to do, when, where,
yeah,
and why.
yeah,
And so and as I said, Armand Desante, speaking with him about that, Diane Carroll, while she was still amongst us, working on soul food with her,
yeah,
Jim Brown, talking to him about the importance of education and focus and work ethic. I've been very, very lucky to be around and to work and talk and call these people my friends. We talk about music writing. Look at Lionel Richie; he's one of our living legends.
yeah,
Lionel Richie is
yeah,
not just because of what he's doing on television today, but because of the lifelong work he's given us and the songs he's given us. I mean, just really beautiful artistry
yeah,
today.
yeah, really, really, and well, one of my favorite roles that you did when you played Jim Brown. I know Jim Brown has a special place when we talk about some of the things that
Yes,
iron sharpens iron
that's
when
right.
we're talking to these people. What was it like, man? Playing Jim. Did Jim say, "Okay, let Darrin do it," or how did that play a part when you played that, got that role?
It's interesting, and that's a great question. That's exactly what he said. Because I would call him all the time when I was on set because I just wanted to make sure I was getting it right.
Right.
And he said, trust yourself. Trust yourself.
Yeah.
He's like, you're there for a reason, And so when you play someone who's no longer here, there's kind of like a breathing space. But when you're playing a legend that's still alive,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you always want to get it right. But
Right.
that's exactly what he said. He said, trust yourself.
Yeah. Jim was an
Yeah.
amazing guy. Most people don't know education. It goes back to Muhammad Ali as an activist.
Yes. Yes.
Representing our
The Black
Africans.
Economic Union.
Yeah.
Him and Richard Pryor were partners
Right.
at one time,
Had
and,
no
and
idea.
and yeah, and he told me a story one time. They were going to manage Prince, and Richard was like, and didn't do it, but they passed on working and managing Prince in Prince's early days.
Wow. Isn't that
So yeah,
interesting?
so it shows you, his mental early on and his forward thinking.
Yeah. He was an
Yeah.
entrepreneur too.
And he also helped bring the Crips and the Bloods to a truce,
He did.
that he doesn't get enough
He did.
accolades for. And he has and I always speak about him in the present tense. He has
Right.
a company that's called America I Can.
Okay.
That really brought and bring people together in the prison system. So,
Yeah.
he was about doing the work
Yeah. He was remarkable.
and was a master chess player.
Oh, he was.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
he was a master chess player?
Master chess player. Michael Jai White, the great actor and artist and humanitarian and
Yeah,
martial
he's bad
artist.
martial artist
Yeah,
too.
would
He's dope.
always go up to the house and play chess with Jim. So, and Michael is my big brother.
Oh, he
So, oh
is.
yeah, and
Yeah, he's a
so
bad dude with
yeah,
them hands and
yeah,
feet.
yeah. We have just great and beautiful stories about Jim.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just quickly because Jim, we talk about it. Jim was actually one of the first superheroes before.
Yeah, yeah,
When
and
you
and and
when
and
you talk about those movies.
yeah, and action heroes.
Yeah,
Very very early on. Um, Dirty Dozen. 100 Rifles. I mean, Jim Brown was and is the man in my book. And again, I have people like Michael Jai White who will co-sign and speak on that. I
right.
mean, if people do their history and, you know, look up Jim, they will see,
Yeah,
the history and the foresight that he had early on and give him his due.
yeah. Darren, when you take on these roles and you're on the set, you're getting ready to go into character. Is it something that you do outside? Do you take it home with you when you're doing character, kind of to sharpen that role? How do you add those emphasis when you get a role and make it so unique?
It's very interesting, and that's another great question. Yes, you can drop into a character so deep that you don't shake them when the cameras go off. And that has happened.
Right.
Denzel could tell you about it. Lawrence Fishburne could tell you about it. John Travolta can tell you about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some times where the same way or the same amount of time you put into getting into the character's skin, you have to shake the character off. If not, you will take them home and wherever you go.
I can
Yeah,
imagine.
the character will still be with you.
Yeah.
And there was some times, and this, when I did the Express, um, that happened during the Express.
Oh, it did.
During the Express, that happened. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
happened during that time. It happened in Soul Food. Yes, it can happen.
Yeah. Because the Express, it has some real dealing with some real issues.
Yeah,
And we're
we were.
talking in the 50s.
Yeah, we were dealing with segregation at that time. We were
Yeah.
dealing with equality issues. There was a lot of studying going
Voting.
on. Voting rights issues, busing. There was a lot of segregation. There was a lot of mental work that men that were on the front line were doing.
Right.
I mean, if you ever listen or watch to any Dick Gregory videos, that he left behind, there was work being done. There was fighting going on. And I think during that tenure when I was doing The Express,
Yeah.
which was a very, again, profound movie. And it was more, it was, the movie was more, I think, about the human spirit than it was about football.
Yeah.
It was about the human spirit.
Yeah.
It was about not taking no for an answer. It was about going the extra mile. It was about asking more of yourself than anybody could ever ask of you.
Yeah.
It's about the human spirit.
Yeah. And, the way you played that role with Jim Brown, because Jim was one of those guys that wasn't going to put up with just anything.
No. And when you were on the football field and you tackled him, you were going to pay for tackling him. He was going to put, the foot to the metal and
Yeah.
made sure. And it was a science for Jim. Every time he got tackled, no matter if he was hurt or not hurt, he got up the same way. So you would never know.
Yeah.
He got up really slow and walked back to the huddle. So when people thought that they hurt him, he'd come busting out and doing what he did.
Yeah. He would punish you.
Oh yeah, he was a scientist with it.
Yeah. Orlando, man, the family business. Here we are. And you're going into what number 5?
Season 5.
Is this season 5?
Season 5
Orlando,
of the family business.
interesting role, interesting part with Orlando, Ernie Hudson, Pop.
Yes.
Let's talk about that, man, because that is an interesting show. We're in the 5th season, and things are opening back up where you guys can get back to work.
Yeah.
First of all.
SAG strike is over.
Yeah, it's over with. And what was that like, though? Really, I mean, what were a lot of people doing? We saw a lot of people picketing. what were some of the people doing, man? To be
Yeah,
able
shout
to
out
get,
to those giants who were on the front lines
yeah, because it
picketing
was a
in
lot
the
of,
heat,
yeah,
in in those conditions. Um, First of all and foremost, the SAG strike was necessary
right,
because as we move forward and deeper into technology, we understand that technology, once it's introduced into the marketplace, it doesn't stop.
yeah,
And so we were fighting to protect our rights
right,
as actors and our intellectual property, which is our faces and our voices,
yeah,
and the energy that we use to create these characters on screen. You know, Carl Weber has created through his series of books, some amazing, well-written, well-arced characters, and movies and television shows we've done in the past. We've received compensation for our residual work,
right,
which means that once it's aired, whether it's aired on television, in the movie theaters, on the internet, there's a repay, as it were. Like, if it's being shown, then the artist should get paid for the reshow
right.
of that particular movie or television show. um, and so through the internet and things that have been happening, and streaming, that hasn't always been the case. And some deals were done under what is called the new media contracts,
Yeah,
which weren't always fair to the actual artists. It worked well for the companies and the production companies, but not for the artists. So it was imperative that we, called for a strike, because moving forward, we wanted to make sure that we're protected. You have a lot of people who, depend on residuals to take care of themselves and their family and pay their bills, and rightfully so. It is their artistic prowess and intellectual properties that are being utilized for compensation and for growth and wealth in the marketplace.
yeah. It was long overdue, Darren, because there has been a lot of actors where a lot of these writers and directors and producers have become millionaires and billionaires,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
actors are starving after there's no residuals. There's no,
Yeah,
the Power Rangers.
yeah.
I know for a fact a lot of those actors, man, they made billions of dollars, and those guys are, they're trying to figure it out.
Hmm.
That was long overdue.
Yeah.
It was well
and
overdue.
and it's not just the actors who were affected. It's
Right.
everybody on set, because if the actors are not going to work, the lighting designers, the DP, the hair and makeup, the grips,
Yeah.
the catering, those people didn't work either. So shout out to those people for being strong enough and creative enough to to hold out for these 3 months.
Yeah, I want to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with Darrin Henson. A lot of people may not know that he is not just a actor, director, or writer, but he's an author now too. Also, he's brought his book here. That's why he's here in San Antonio to talk about his fourth book. But we're going to kind of just go into 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll be right back with Black Friday Live with Darrin Henson. Don't y'all go nowhere.